Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, we will start by reading Hadith number 561 in Ramuz al-Ahadith. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجت الرايات السود فإن أولها فتنة وأوسطها ضلالة وآخرها كفر. قال رسول الله, when the black banners emerge, in the beginning will be discord, the middle misguidance, and in the end disbelief. When the black banners emerge, in the beginning will be discord, the middle misguidance, and in the end disbelief. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجت المرأة إلى المسجد فلتغتسل من الطيب كما تغتسل من الجنابة. When a woman leaves to go to the mosque, let her wash from perfume as she would wash from ritual impurity, janaba. So mainly to make ghusl, to remove the scent in her body. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجت اللعنة من في صاحبها نظرت فإن وجدت مسلكا في الذي وجهت إليه وإلا عادت إلى الذي خرجت منه. When a curse leaves the mouth of her owner, she looks for a way to the cursed person. If she does not find a way, she returns to where she came from. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجت من منزلك فصلي ركعتين تمنعانك مخرج السوء وإذا دخلت إلى منزلك فصلي ركعتين تمنعانك مدخل السوء. When you leave your home, pray 2 rak'ahs, which will prevent a bad exit for you. And when you enter your home, pray 2 rak'ahs, which prevent a bad entrance for you. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجتم في الحج أو عمرة فتمتعوا لكي لا تتكلوا وأكرموا الخبز فإن الله سخر له بركات السماوات والأرض. When you travel for Hajj or Umrah, perform tamattu, so that you do not depend on others, and honor bread, for Allah employed the blessings of the heavens and earth for it. This is a 2-part hadith. The first part is talking about Umrah and Hajj to do tamattu. And tamattu, some of you might know, means that when you go, you perform the Hajj, and then you break your ihram, and then you do a Umrah. And the implication of tamattu is that you are going to slaughter, and you give some of that meat to the poor, and you eat some of that. So what the Prophet is advising people is to slaughter, and these people, they used to, when they travel long distances, they would bring their sheep or goats or cows with them on the way, and they would graze all the way while they were traveling. So they bring with them their livestock, and they slaughter after the Hajj, so that they do not depend on the people of Mecca to feed them when they're there. The second part is to honor bread. If you're bringing bread with you, also to take care of it and not to waste it, and respect it. And because bread is the result of the rain falling into the ground, so it has blessings that come down with the rain. As we know that the rain comes with the angels, and it grows from the earth from the blessings of Allah. So it is very important to respect bread. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خرجتم فخذوا ودعوا الثلث إذا خرجتم فخذوا ودعوا الثلث فإن لم تدعوا الثلث فدعوا الربع. إذا خرجتم فخذوا ودعوا الثلث فإن لم تدعوا الثلث فدعوا الربع. When you estimate for zakat, take it leaving a third, and if you do not leave a third, leave a quarter. This is important because in those days they would estimate the amount of a harvest before the end of before they actually collect all the harvest. So for example, for dates there would be assessors, people who would be estimators or assessors, and they would go and look at how many trees he has, and they would estimate how much dates he will have. But what the Prophet was saying is that when you do this estimate for zakah, you subtract a third, so that you only do the zakah on 3/4, and sorry, 2/3 or 3/4. So this is a mercy from the Prophet ﷺ, because sometimes there is losses in the harvest. There's some things that are unforeseeable. So the assumption here is that the owner will lose some of this harvest. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خص العالم بالعلم طائفة دون طائفة لم ينتفع به العالم والمتعلم. If a teacher singles out one group to teach over another, neither the teacher nor the student will gain from this knowledge. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خطب أحدكم المرأة فإن استطاع أن ينظر منها إلى ما يدعوه إلى نكاحها فليفعل. When one of you asks a woman in marriage, if he is able to look at what will induce him to marry her, he should do so. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خطب أحدكم المرأة فليسأل عن شعرها فكما يسأل عن جمالها فإن الشعر أحد الجمالين. When one of you asks a woman in marriage, let him ask about her hair, as he would ask about her beauty, for surely hair is one of the two beauties. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا خلص المؤمنون من النار حبسوا بقنطرة بين الجنة والنار فيتقاصون مظالم كانت بينهم في الدنيا حتى إذا نقوا وهذبوا أذن لهم بدخول الجنة فوالذي نفس محمد بيده لأحدهم بمسكنه في الجنة أدل بمسكنه في الدنيا. When the believers are saved from the fire, they will be stopped on a bridge between the garden and the fire, where they will retaliate upon each other for the injustices done among them in this world. When they have been purified and refined, then they will be permitted to enter the garden. By the one who saw Muhammad's hand, every one of them will recognize his home in the garden more than he does in this world. So, mashallah, very good news for us. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل الرجل بيته فذكر اسم الله تعالى حين يدخل وحين يطعم قال الشيطان لا مبيت لكم ولا عشاء ها هنا وإن دخل فلم يذكر اسم الله عند دخوله قال الشيطان أدركتم المبيت والعشاء. When a man enters his home and mentions the name of Allah when he enters and when he eats, when a man enters his home and mentions the name of Allah when he enters and when he eats, Shaitan says, no overnight stay or dinner for you here, addressing to his followers. And when he enters his home and does not mention the name of Allah when he enters, Shaitan says, you have achieved an overnight stay and dinner. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أهل الجنة الجنة يقول الله عز وجل هل تشتهون شيئا فأزيدكم فيقولون ربنا وما فوق ما أعطيتنا فيقول رضواني أكبر. When the people of the garden enter the garden, Allah exalted be He says, do you desire anything that I may increase for you? So they say, and what is greater than what you have given us? He says, my pleasure is greater. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أهل الجنة الجنة وأهل النار النار نادى مناد من تحت العرش يا أهل المظالم تتاركوا مظالمكم وادخلوا الجنة. When the people of the garden enter the garden and the people of the fire enter the fire, a caller will call from under the throne, O people of oppression, leave your oppressions and enter the garden. Here the oppressions mean the ones who were oppressed, people who are oppressed, the ones who are claiming to be obsessed or oppressed, or they think they are oppressed, the caller is telling them, leave your oppression and enter the garden, because they are oppressed people. قال رسول الله وولده فيقال إنهم لم يبلغوا درجتك وعملك فيقول يا ربي قد عملت لي ولهم فيؤمر بإلحاقهم به. When a man enters the garden, he asks about his parents, wife, and children. It will be said, they have not attained your station and deeds. He will say, O my Lord, I worked for myself and for them. It will be then ordered for them to join him in the garden. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد كان في صلاة ما كانت الصلاة تحبسه والملائكة يصلون على أحدكم ما دام في مجلسه الذي صلى فيه يقولون اللهم اغفر له اللهم ارحمه اللهم تب عليه لم يؤذي ما لم يؤذي فيه وما لم يحدث فيه. When one of you enters the mosque, he is deemed to be in prayer as long as the prayer detains him. And if you enter the mosque and they haven't prayed yet, you are considered to be still within prayer. So Allah Almighty's mercy and blessings are dropping on you, even though the prayer has not started, but because you are waiting for the prayer. So when one of you enters the mosque, he is deemed to be in prayer as long as the prayer detains him. And the angels keep on blessing him as long as he's sitting at the spot he prayed in. This after the prayer. If he's sitting there, the angels continue to bless him. They say, O Allah, forgive him. O Allah, have mercy on him. O Allah, turn towards him. They continue this prayer as long as he does not do any harm in it, and as long as he does not do anything unseemly in it. So, when some people, they say you do the fard, you pray the fard, there is no need to sit anymore, you go. No need for tasbih, no need for dua. Some people, they say this. This is the response for that. Even if you are sitting quietly in the spot where you prayed, this is enough barakah that the angels are blessing you while you are sitting. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد فليسلم ثم ليقل اللهم افتح لي أبواب رحمتك وإذا خرج فليقل اللهم افتح لي أبواب فضلك. When one of you enters the mosque, let him give greetings and say, O Allah, open for me the doors of your mercy. And when he leaves, let him say, O Allah, open for me the doors of your bounty. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد فليسلم على النبي وليقل اللهم افتح لي أبواب رحمتك وإذا خرج فليسلم على النبي وليقل اللهم عصمني من الشيطان. When one of you enters the mosque, let him give greetings to the Prophet and say, O Allah, open for me the doors of your mercy. And when he leaves, let him give greetings to the Prophet and say, O Allah, protect me from the shaitan. Again, this is encouraging to say salawat and salams on the Prophet ﷺ. إذا دخل قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد والإمام على المنبر فلا صلاة ولا كلام حتى يفرغ الإمام. When one of you enters the mosque and the imam is on the minbar, no praying or talking until the imam finishes. This is there is a difference in opinion here about the 2 rak'ahs for Tahiyyat al-Masjid, the greeting of the mosque. Some scholars, they say, some mazhabs, they say to pray the 2 rak'ahs even if the imam has started the khutbah, and some say not to. This is the hadith they base that on. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم على أخيه المسلم فأطعمه طعاما فليأكل منه ولا يسأل عنه وإذا سقاه شرابا فليشرب منه ولا يسأل عنه. When one of you visits his Muslim brother and he feeds him, let him eat from it and not ask about it. And he gives him a drink, let him drink from it and not ask about it. This is the adab, this is the prophetic adab, not to ask this is halal or what is in this, or it is not proper to ask someone who invited you, is this meat halal or not? Where did you get this? Is this organic or not? This kind of question is not accepted. It's not adab. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم على أخيه المسلم فأراد أن يفطر فليفطر إلا أن يكون ذلك رمضان أو قضاء رمضان أو نذرا. When one of you visits his Muslim brother who wants to eat, let him break his fast unless it is Ramadan or making up for Ramadan or a vow. Yani if you are fasting and you visit someone and that person is offering you to eat or this, and then you are fasting just nafila, yani just extra, then it is proper for you to break your fast and to join him in the meal. Except if it is, of course, obviously Ramadan or qada Ramadan, if you are repeating days, or if it's a vow. Sometimes people, they have some, they say if such and such happens, I will fast. Or if it is considered, some scholars, they include also if it is your aada, yani your habit to fast Mondays, for example, or Mondays and Thursdays, and it happens to be a Monday or Thursday, or it is in Sha'ban, you are fasting Sha'ban or the 15th of Sha'ban, anything that it is that is your habit to fast, then it is okay to say I am fasting. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد والإمام في التشهد فليكبر وليجلس معه فإذا سلم فليقم إلى صلاته فإنه قد أدرك فضل الجماعة. When one of you enters the mosque and the Imam is in the tashahhud, let him say Allahu Akbar and sit with him. When he does the salams, let him get up from his prayer, for he has achieved the benefit of the congregation. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل أحدكم على مريض فليصافحه وليضع يده على جبهته وليسأله كيف هو ولينسأ له في الأجل وليسأله أن يدعو له فإن دعاء المريض كدعاء الملائكة. When one of you visits a sick person, let him shake his hand, put his hand on his forehead, and ask how he is. Let him assure him of a long life, and let him ask him to supplicate for him, dua for him. Yeah. For the supplication of the sick is like the supplication of the angels. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Sheikh Walid, this one for you. MashaAllah. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل الضيف على قوم دخل برزقه وإذا خرج بمغفرة ذنوبهم. When a visitor comes to some people, he comes with his own provision, and when he leaves with their sins forgiven. And when the visitor leaves, the ones who invited him, their sins are forgiven. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل الميت القبر مثلت له الشمس عند غروبها فيجلس يمسح عينيه ويقول دعوني أصلي. When the dead person enters the grave, it appears to him that the sun is setting. So he sits wiping his eyes, saying, let me pray. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل شهر رمضان أمر الله حملة العرش أن يكفوا عن التسبيح ويستغفروا لأمة محمد والمؤمنين. When the month of Ramadan enters, Allah commands the bearers of the throne, the angels that carry the throne, to stop praising Him and ask forgiveness for the nation of Muhammad and the believers. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل قوم منزل رجل كان رب المنزل أميرهم حتى يخرجوا من منزله وطاعته عليهم واجبة. When people enter the home of a man, the master of the house becomes their leader until they leave his home, and they are obliged to obey him. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل عليكم السائل بغير إذن فلا تطعموه. When a beggar enters your home without permission, do not feed him. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا أحدكم فليعزم المسألة في الدعاء ولا يقل اللهم إن شئت فأعطني فإن الله لا مستكره له. It's important. When one of you supplicates, let him be determined in asking, and not say, O Allah, bestow upon me if you wish. For surely no one can compel Allah. Yani, it is not appropriate to say, if you wish, Allah, give me such and such. Because Allah, there is no one to compel him, to force him to do anything. It is already given. It is given to say that if he wishes, of course, everything will happen if he wishes. So you make the dua and you be determined in asking. If it is dunya thing, it's okay, you can ask, no problem. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا أحدكم فليؤمن على دعاء نفسه. When one of you supplicates, let him say Ameen to his own supplication. إذا دعا الرجل لأخيه بظهر الغيب قالت الملائكة ولك بمثله. When a man supplicates for his brother without his knowledge, the angels say, and for you the same. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا الرجل زوجته لحاجته فلتأته وإن كانت على التنور. When a man calls his wife to satisfy his desire, let her go to him, even if she is occupied at the oven. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا الرجل امرأته إلى فراشه فلتجب وإن كانت على ظهر قطب. When a man calls his wife to his bed, let her go to him even if she is riding in a saddle, on a saddle, I guess. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا أحدكم امرأته فإذا دعا أحدكم امرأته إلى فراشي فأبت أن تجيء لعنتها الملائكة حتى تصبح. When one of you calls his wife to his bed and she refuses to come, the angels curse her until the morning. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعوت الله فادعوا الله ببطن كفيك ولا تدعوا بظهورهما فإذا فرغت فامسح بهما وجهك. When you supplicate to Allah, supplicate with the palms of your hands and not their backs. When you are finished, wipe your face with them. This is interesting for me, especially because we learn to make this dua like this with your hand and then you wipe it. And we learned this from seeing our sheikh to do it. But I remember when I was younger and I did this once in front of somebody and someone said, I don't understand why people do this. Allah will accept the prayer even if you do with your hand or without your hand. So now you see a lot of people in the mosques in Jummah, they don't even raise their hands when there is dua because they think that is no need. And this is a command from the Prophet ﷺ. This is what he told us to do, so we do it. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعوتم لأحد من اليهود والنصارى فقولوا أكثر الله مالك وولدك. When you supplicate for one of the Jews or Christians, say, may Allah increase your wealth and offspring. In our country here, a lot of people, they say, should we make dua for our neighbors if they are not Muslim or this? You can make this dua to increase their wealth and offspring. You cannot say Allah forgive them, and just because they are not accepting Allah, so it is up to Allah to forgive or not. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعي أحدكم إلى الوليمة فليأتها. When one of you is invited to a feast, let him attend it. It's well known. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعي أحدكم إلى طعام فليجب فإن كان مفطرا فليأكل وإن كان صائما فليصلي. When one of you is invited to a meal, let him accept. If he is not fasting, let him eat. And if he is fasting, let him pray. You can, if someone is asking you to join in a meal and you're praying and you're fasting, you can say, I'll pray, 2 rak'ahs or something like that to keep, not to offend them. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا رأى أحدكم القملة فلا يقتلها في المسجد ولكن يسرها في ثوبه فإذا خرج فليقتلها. When one of you sees a louse is the thing that comes in the hair, lice, one of them. When one of you sees a louse, let him not kill it inside the mosque. Instead, let him bundle it in his clothes. Then when he leaves, let him kill it. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا ذكر أصحابي فامسكوا وإذا ذكرت النجوم فأمسكوا وإذا ذكر القدر فامسكوا. When my companions are mentioned, hold back. When the stars are mentioned, like astrology, when the stars are mentioned, hold back. When fate is mentioned, hold back. This is an indication that these are like what we say controversial subjects. Do not speak about Prophet ﷺ's companions. Better not to say anything. Not to say anything about the stars, whether it is good or bad, or just not to talk about it, about astrology. And then when fate is mentioned, because this is a question that people say in Arabic, they say musayyar or mukhayyar. Is it my fate to do haram after one does something bad, or is it uh, after you do something haram you say, oh, it is my fate? This discussion about fate can lead to kufr. So Prophet ﷺ is advising us to hold back and not to discuss these controversial subjects. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا ذهب أحدكم إلى الغائط والبول فلا يستقبل القبلة ولا يستدبرها بفرجه. When one of you goes to the toilet, let him not turn his face towards the qibla nor turn his back towards it. Of course, sometimes now we have bathrooms, and that sometimes the toilet is designed in a particular direction, and you have no choice. But the scholars, they said that this is really only for rooms where there is no wall. So out in the open, if you're out in the open, do not face qibla or to turn your back to the qibla when you are going to the toilet. ومن الله التوفيق. الفاتحة. تقبل الله. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.